This has been, I've gotten a lot of questions about this since people have seen the Tiki Torch thing. You know,
Yeah.
Charlottesville was a really center of a lot of these things in the South, et cetera. But, you know, one of the things I have to, now you see.
Why are you putting you right there, Mr.
I'm listening to you.
I know, but you're just, I mean, I'm like, what? I'm talking about it. A11 crew, Jason Turner back into his house with my main man.
Ulysses Glenn, better known as Slugger.
Hey, y'all, thank you so much for watching our podcast, 811 crew. We are 811 because our birthdays are August 11th. That's just where it begins. Where it doesn't end is because we are the unofficial experts on living your best life after 50. On our podcast, we chop it up about everything from our kids to our lives to who's clean to men who come up to you and ask what kind of cologne you're wearing at Target, which seems to happen to one of us.
And then then there's Pigpen.
Right, and then there are people who could be cleaner and who could and have technology and do that.
I like Pigpen.
Well, Pigpen. Okay, is that what you're gonna do? Okay, well, no, okay.
We have a little cloud over here.
Okay, we'll call your name Stigmatism, and we'll call you Stigma and Pheromone and
Blake.
what other types?
No,
we'll call you Blake instead of Drake, right?
I knew Pheromone. I can say Pheromone.
Y'all, thank you very much for being with us. As Slugger said, today we're going to continue our conversation and talk about college.
College is so like.
What it was like, and college is just so foundational. I mean, that's where we met. Like our fraternity, a lot of our relationships. I mean, most of my relationships that I have stem from college. It was pivotal. It was crucial for both of us. Has the relationship with college, our relationship to our universities, how youth interact with colleges, how has that changed? What's different?
I think now that we're older, we respect, like our colleges, our alumni. We attend at least I know you and I attend.
Absolutely.
Black alumni, homecoming, different events like that. My chapter events. I talk to most of my college friends, especially with Facebook and Instagram. I've stayed connected with them. For me, college was great. It was
fantastic.
It was fantastic. It's where I grew up. I learned who I was. It was just a good time. I met people I would never have met before in my entire life. My roommates. What's different with you and I? You pledged in the 80s. You pledged with 88.
I did. I pledged in 88. But you know, my college experience was really different because I was the first person in my family to go to college.
Okay.
And so that was a very unique perspective. You know, versus when I think of my son being a senior in college, my daughter being a couple years away from college, and I think of the advocacy that happens, you know, when your kids are in college with their classes to be prepared, what they're trying to do, et cetera. All of those things getting ready for college. My parents were absolutely supportive, and it was clear that I was going to college. But the question and then was, what colleges are you going to apply to, and where do you think you're going to go? It wasn't. They were more like, this is your process. All I did with my parents was tell them like the check that they needed to write, like that 25, whatever the application fee was. But I did all my applications myself, the research, making sure everything was together. I took it to the post office. I don't think it goes down like that these days.
Like now you have to start your college career freshman year in high school. Like you have to know you're going to college, your grades. I mean, people hire people to help them get into college.
Right.
I mean, even just recently, the ones that went to jail for paying coaches off, things like that.
Parents are doing a lot.
It's a lot in college. Even where you're going to live in college. I knew I was going to live in the dorm. My freshman year, there was no issue about that. I lived in the dorm my freshman and sophomore year. Junior year, moved off campus with 3 other friends, lived with them for 2 years.
See, that's great. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm jealous of that. I'm jealous of that. So like I lived on grounds. That's what at UVA, we don't call it the campus, it's the grounds, right? So I lived in on grounds housing my entire 4 years of college. And I used to always look at the cats that, I'd be like, damn, how can they? Who are their parents that they can have that dope apartment like that? People had duplexes and all this other stuff.
We had a nice apartment.
I stayed in the dorm because I was an RA.
I actually wish if I was to do it again, I would stay in the dorm. because even though they promote this cheaper living off campus and all that stuff, you got to pay phone bills, you got to pay gas, electric. You
you're on your. You really are
you're
out
really
there.
on your own. I mean, my parents paid my rent. I had to pay, I think, the electric, because I worked, so I had to pay maybe the electric bill and stuff, but they paid the rent.
But let's be honest, your work was for your clothes.
No, it was for me.
So you could go to Structure.
The Structure was not there.
A lot of people, y'all don't even know what Structure is, but it's,
Structure.
Right. Fall into the
gap.
Right. You was trying to, you was getting your wares, yo.
I worked.
Come on, man. Your parents were, what we know about you is that all of your necessities were covered.
Yeah, that's probably about true.
Now that is a different story, and you know this story. And when we were talking about this episode, I got to share with you what happened. You know, my situation with it was kind of cold, right? So, first year, halfway through my freshman year of college, and now my parents are divorced.
Okay.
So it was gonna be crazy when they called me on three-way. They called me in college on three-way.
Your divorced parents.
My divorced parents.
Okay.
So you know that something you don't know what it's going to be, but it's an anomaly. Okay, something's going on here. I'm like, well, so my dad starts talking, and whenever my dad starts talking,
you know it's gonna be bad.
I was like,
when
I
your
don't know
father
what
starts
this
talking,
is.
it's
But
about to be
I'm
bad.
not gonna be. I'm gonna be really concerned at the
he
end of
doesn't
this
get
call.
involved in stuff. By the time when your father gets involved, you have just completely messed up.
At least with our fathers,
With our
definitely
fathers,
with
you
our
messed
two
it.
dads, and we
You
are
messed
blessed
it.
to both to have
Our
our
father,
dads
yes.
in our lives, which is
Yes.
critical. But no, so my dad gets on the phone with mom, and he says, "Oh, son, how you? Hey, son, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh my God, small talk. How am I doing?"
Oh, no.
I was like, "Tell me,
no.
Dad, how am I doing?" No, he was like, he said, "So, Dad," he was like, "Son," he said, "your mom and I are calling you because we just want to let you know that we're gonna be paying your school tuition for next year." And I was like,
Duh.
okay. I mean, I thought it's some couple more years after that, but
Right.
okay, tuition. Thank you. He said, "No, son, you don't understand. We're only paying your tuition."
Oh, wow.
I was like, wait a minute, we missing some columns on that spreadsheet. Okay, we got some.
There's 3 more years
right.
after
that.
Yeah.
Right.
First of all, I got to have where I'm going to sleep. Okay, you know, I got to eat. We talking about books and fees. How am I getting back and forth to school? I ain't even got to the fact that I need a new pair of shoes or some clothes and that. And so I really am starting to panic. But I was like, wow, are y'all serious? So immediately after that call, I was like, whoa. And that's when I decided to become an RA.
You had to pay more because you lived out of state.
Right. And so then, because DC and Atlanta was out of state, but
Yeah.
I definitely was like, wow, I got to be an RA immediately. And that was why I lived on campus, because from that conversation forward, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be an RA. I ain't paying for the crib. I'm going to live right here on grounds, on campus, and I'm going to have the university pass.
I actually think I should have never moved out of my parents' house. I really have come to the conclusion I was spoiled. I remember.
You think so?
Eureka. Lord have mercy.
Winnebago,
You
pool, housekeeper.
Vera,
what
we're
else?
going to have a
we say?
running list of all of we're
No,
gonna,
I remember being in college.
we're going to call them you sluggers
I remember-
entitlements.
I remember in college, it was so Cincinnati. I went to University of Cincinnati. It would be cold. You know, winter was cold as whatever. So I needed a winter coat, and my parents sent me like one of those long winter coats that cover
Triple fat goose. Joe.
That was whatever it was.
weather.
Whatever the hot
Was it
coat.
fur?
Yeah, it had no, it wasn't fur. It had like the down. It was a down
know he had a
coat.
fur.
That was before Helly Hansen, y'all. That
That's
was before.
Detroit. That's Detroit with fur. I'm Ohio.
Chicago. No, it's actually Chicago.
Chicago and Detroit.
Y'all have fur. They have fur too.
Detroit and Chicago were fur.
Okay, what did you?
So I remember my.
You just
parents-
called it a different name,
remember,
probably.
I remember I remember my parents sent me a pair of Timberland boots and a winter coat. I was like, oh, 'cause it was cold. I was like, oh wow, thanks. Like this, I needed this for.
You probably had some Air Force Ones too, didn't you?
I didn't wear tennis shoes in high school. In college.
Okay.
Tennis shoes weren't really popular then. I wore
Oh,
loafers.
that's right. We're talking about college. I was thinking about
Yeah, I
I
wore
had a
loafers.
senior moment. I started thinking high school now. But go ahead.
Oh yeah, I wore loafers a lot in college.
Oh wow, penny loafers probably.
Yeah, I wore
You had a little
penny
penny
loafers.
loafer.
Yeah, I did. I wore
Little
penny
Cole
loafers.
Haan joint, or
Yeah.
the Bass.
I had the
Bass
Bass
Weegens.
I had the Bass
Yeah,
Weegens.
no, those were hot. Those were hot
I
back
had the
then.
Bass Weegens.
I don't know what y'all talking about, but
Oh,
I said
chill.
Bass Weegens.
Whatever. You were wearing jelly beans probably.
I was wearing whatever was at Kmart on sale.
No, but college, in I went. We went to school late '80s, early '90s, and I think that was like the last.
Oh man.
Fun time
Yes.
before people start.
If we do say so ourselves.
Before people start shooting people up and all that in college, like college parties getting shot up, because our parties were on campus. So we would go to the student union. That's where the parties were. So like every week there would be a party. Either the Kappas or the Alphas would fight to have the first party. When you got back to school, we'd sleep out to get the party. And then every week after that, and then it got to a point the interest groups gave parties. So like the Kappas, we had Kappa Sweethearts and Kappa Diamonds. The Alpha Sweethearts would give parties. So
Yeah, social life was big,
totally
man.
different social.
But you know what we did? We had the parties at our apartment because I was an AKA.
Oh, yeah.
Roommate was a Delta. Her boyfriend was a Kappa. Mine was a Alpha. And we would have the parties because in Michigan there's bottle return. And
Oh,
so
yeah,
every
yeah.
Saturday,
So was Ohio.
everybody was in our
Wow.
apartment because Sunday we go across the street with bags full of bottles. We had steak dinner every Sunday.
Right.
Every Sunday. And then, you talk about not having should they have a car or not? I don't think they should have a car. But anyway, we also, if I wanted, I worked at the student union, Ticketmaster. And if I was broke, I would go to where the construction site is because the construction site, the garbage cans were overflowing with cans and bottles.
I thought you meant the guys were going to be like, what you need, baby? What you need? Oh, you in school?
Oh wait,
No,
but
I would go away with $10 worth of bottles from the construction site.
No, the AKs in our school used to have a thing called a mock Playboy. This was hot.
Now remember, you still got to go back for homecoming.
No, this was hot. No, this was hot. No,
You
this-
said Playboy?
it was called the mock Playboy, and so they would be dressed in like Playboy, the outfits that the waitresses wear. They wear the bunny ears, and the Noops played football, and they would be the dude. It would be a fake casino, and the Noops played football, so they have on the collar and the tight pants and oiled up. So
Oiled up. I don't know.
Yeah, I
what
don't
is
think you
going
could
on.
do this.
I just
can't
don't
do
know.
this.
He
Wait,
said
wait.
oiled up.
So they played the girls in football?
No, the girl. It would be a party that the AKs would have. It was called mock. It was a mock Playboy, so we could have liquor on campus. So at I think it was the Ryan Room, they would rent out, and we would have liquor on campus. It was a dress up party for college. The AKs would have on this. Literally have a bunny tail, the ears, everything.
Yeah.
And periodically they'll show pictures.
I don't think that's PC anymore.
Yeah, they
I don't
can't
think
do that.
The AKs are doing that
No.
anymore.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
I'll show you all the pictures. It's hilarious because you're like, wow. And it was like their annual event.
But now you know what. But you brought up something real quick. We started off talking about cars and having a car, et cetera. You said you had a Mazda 626.
My
et cetera.
junior year.
Yeah, I definitely never had a car. I mean, granted, I just told you how I needed to find money for room and board. So finding transportation and getting a car that never came into my mind at all during college. But I was fortunate to have good friends who did have cars. I was able to ride with them, et cetera. But, the other thing that was so critical was obviously we didn't have the internet in college.
Oh, no.
That is a critical. I mean, I wish our millennials around right now. See, they yawn right now. They can't even imagine no internet in college. But we didn't have the internet, so all the social media things, you really had to be out.
You had to go to the library.
No,
Okay.
There was no Google. There
Maybe
was
in
no
Michigan.
looking stuff up.
No, I'm gonna tell you the best thing is when they would pull the smoke alarm or a fire alarm on Saturday. You'd see who spent the night with who.
Oh yeah. See,
That's how
that
you did?
and that's
That's
probably
what people would do.
worked at University of Cincinnati
They would
because
put-
y'all Bamas actually came out the room
No,
during
no,
the fire.
no, 'cause that
UEA mugs
no.
would be like, yeah,
You got
man,
fi-
we
no.
ain't, it ain't no real fire.
No.
No, you
use
got
your nose.
fined.
No. So you got to use your nose on a fire. Like,
They
you
would
could
go
smell
through.
a fire.
They would go through the rooms and make sure you came out. Because I know I'm not gonna mention some names, but some friends of mine didn't come out and they got fined, and they got fined for not coming out of the room.
Well, that is funny because what we know about Ohio is y'all don't believe in insurrections, okay? So I can't believe that anybody got in trouble for violating the rules out there. They were like, burn it down. Ohio, Yo, 11 crew, we're going to keep
We'll
talking
be
about
back.
this college. We'll be back in a few.
See ya.
11 crew, thanks for staying with us. We are back after a break, and we're still talking about life in college and what the difference is, expectations of college when we were there, college now, kids then and now. the choice of what college we went to. Now, I mean, what was interesting to me, of course, is it was no surprise to me, honestly, that you didn't leave Ohio because everything is so perfect there.
That's not what I thought you was gonna say,
but
bro.
the Winnebago, I mean, you just had a perfect. I mean, just damn Pleasantville. Okay, there was really no reason for you to leave Ohio. You were like, I'm just gonna stay here.
Well, he did say he wished he hadn't left
he was
home.
about to leave, stay home. So we understand that.
I really
understand that.
I remember when I graduated from college, I moved back home. My mom would call me at work and ask me what I wanted for dinner.
See,
What?
man, oh man.
So I was like,
So how long did you live back at home?
about a year and a half, and then I got a promotion and moved to Cincinnati.
But for a year and a half, you was definitely getting Aunt Jemima pancakes.
Oh yeah, no, she was making dinner.
I'm sorry, Pearl Milling Company.
She would call me at work.
Wait,
Be like, what you want?
Wait a
wait a minute.
Hmm?
I know that you're not an only child, right?
No, I have a younger brother.
So,
Oh, he had a much better life than I did.
Can
Way
you imagine
better.
that? Like,
'Cause
I
he was
can't even
younger.
imagine.
I'm
okay?
listening to your
Does he
wife.
still live at home? He must still live at the
Look,
crib.
do they have another bedroom? Can I go live with them now?
No,
I'm
but-
trying
I
to
want the
say-
pool.
No, but
They were fun parents. They were strict. Like when I look back on it, they were extremely strict. But we had a fun life.
Right.
Like I remember my brother got a new. I was like, is that a new car? I was like, wow. When he was in college, he got a Ford, not a Taurus.
But so he had to get an American car. Now he
Yeah,
couldn't get a
Ford.
foreign car.
No,
But let me ask you, where did your brother go to?
Ford.
Where did your brother go to college?
He went to University of Toledo.
Okay, so that sounds like another good old
Yeah,
Ohio school
but,
too.
yeah.
But now,
But my brother's a noob as well.
Well, let me ask you this now. Would you have I feel like I already know the answer to this. It could be a poll question. Would Ulysses make any different decisions? No.
Yeah, I would.
But my question is, would you go to this if you had to do it all over again now, Black Lives Matter, kind of then and now, if you were a high school kid now, would you still think your proclivity would be towards like a white school or UC, or would you be like, yo, I'm going to Morehouse, I'm going to Howard? What do you think about that?
I would probably still go to Cincinnati. I definitely probably still would. I went to Cincinnati. I wanted to go to a big school. I didn't. I looked at Ohio State. I visited. I didn't like Ohio State as much. It's still a great school. It's better than Michigan. It's way
Okay,
better.
Settled out on the football field.
Shots are fired. Shots
Go
are fired.
blue, go blue,
Man.
go
Buckeyes.
blue.
There's not even a question about it. But
Did
Cincinnati,
he say Ohio's on our show?
of
Okay, I'm
course.
sorry.
Right, states that can't be named. People. And
But yeah,
places.
but I would. I'm different. The thing is, at the time I was in high school, it would have been. It would have been different for me to go to a black school from high school. That would have been.
It would have been a lot for you.
Yeah, it would have been.
It would because you wouldn't have had a lot of people with your shared experience. I'm just telling you right
Yeah,
now.
it would have been.
Bruh.
They might have
It
been
would've
looking
been
at
a different-
not that you would have had to go to certain black schools though, because I'm certain that there's people at probably Spellhouse, Morehouse, whatever that probably had your
Oh,
shared
you would have been a
experience.
Morehouse man.
Yeah.
I
I
just
think you
never
might have
thought-
liked Morehouse. They probably would have had Gucci shoes.
No,
and-
I didn't wear.
they
I didn't wear
would've
Gucci.
had,
I wore Bass Weegens. I wore. But
Birkenstocks.
I wore Birkenstocks. I actually.
Is it
wear
true that you
Birkenstocks.
have a pair of red Louboutins in your closet now?
I do not have any Louboutins.
I mean, I'm just
shoes.
saying. But you do have
No.
3 pairs of Gucci's and a Balenciaga.
I do have a few pairs of
It's
Gucci.
like
I mean,
it's
I
like-
digress.
wait,
I'm
it's
sorry.
like they're speaking a foreign language. A what? A what?
I'm sorry.
elemental
he
P?
knows. He knows. Google.
Let's get back to
The young
was that
people know these
French
things.
or
But
was
we
that
should be
Spanish?
talking about college.
Let's get back to college.
We talking about
So
college.
okay, so one of the things different is that this
You
different-
still would not go to a black school, even with all that's going on now. You
Probably-
still are like I like it white. I want to keep it.
I like the diversity, the black kids. I mean, realize there was 40,000 kids there when we were there, which meant 10%.
40,000. That's a big school.
Which meant 10% were black. There's 4,000 black kids.
Right.
So we have a community. I have friends, and it's friends I would have never met. The thing about I think about if I had chosen a black college, I would have only met people like me.
Interesting. And I think that's a good thing too. I mean, Sydney, and I want to, ask you this as well too. I mean, I felt like at UVA, and this has been, I've gotten a lot of questions about this since people have seen the Tiki Torch thing.
Yeah.
Charlottesville was a really center of a lot of these things in the South, et cetera. But, one of the things I have to now you see.
Why are you putting you right there?
I'm listening to you.
I know, but you're just. I mean, I'm like, what? I'm talking about the tiki torches and
I know, I'm listening.
and you still stuck on the maize and blue. I don't. Anyway, let me get back to my serious story here. We're gonna have to edit that. But anyway, this is serious. This is serious thing. What I'm saying is though, for real, at UVA, late '80s, early '90s, we were saying. It was much more of it was not racist because people are like, you went to school. See, I can't even talk about real. I'm trying
listening,
to share
Jason.
my
I'm
truth.
listening.
We're listening.
I'm listening, Jason.
You see these people?
I'm listening.
But I'm sorry.
These are examples of people that went to white schools. Okay?
No, but no.
I'm talking about Black Lives and Tiki Torches, and they are talking about football games and making.
Can I just say this is the biggest
rest my case,
rivalry
okay?
in college sports?
Right.
Is
You're right.
University
I'm trying to talk
Michigan
about black
and
people
Ohio
and
State.
black schools, but I know, and this is relevant though.
But here's another. But
it's
here's
not that
another
our
thing.
show, and we don't care about
That's
it. But I'm
because
just trying to,
at
let's
black
leave it
schools,
alone.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
they don't have the football that we.
Touchdown!
Oh wow,
Sports.
Deion Sanders. See, you really getting in trouble
I
right
went to-
now.
I
Okay,
went-
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no, 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 no.
Deion, hey, Prime,
No,
we need you on the show to bring
I'm just
Sydney up
saying
to speed
the
because she
full
don't know
college.
what's going
I'm
on
saying
here.
the full
that
college
just
experience.
happened. That just
The
happened.
full college experience.
That just
University of Michigan, the big house.
What?
Hello,
Yeah,
110,000 people.
I'm sorry.
In one
There
game?
is
Bo Schembechler,
I'm
the
sorry.
Rose Bowl?
There is a football game that the HBCU have. It's like Alabama State
Oh,
versus
yeah.
it's something
The
down
day-
in the
Look it
South,
up,
and
look
that
it up.
thing
The day
is
of-
massive.
Can I
can't say what it is.
Can
It's
I
the
tell
day
you
after
something?
Thanksgiving.
It's
It's the day
the
after-
Southern Classic
Southern
will
Classic.
run over
Classic.
any white
You not
football
gonna-
game.
You're not going to say exactly.
You ain't gonna
Stop
outdo
it.
the Southern
You're not
Classic.
gonna-
No
I'm
one
not.
watches
You
the
all can
game.
talk all you want,
But no one watches
but
the
you
game.
can
at those-
Google and see what the number one rivalry in actually it's in sports.
It's the biggest rivalry.
I
It's
mean,
the
I
biggest
wonder who
rivalry.
that sampling pool is. I mean,
No,
like,
everyone.
what is the
it's-
diversity and inclusion in that?
When you go,
You can
I'm
ask
just wondering.
anybody.
I'm just asking.
I'm sorry. Where
Caucasian.
has the HBCUs?
Carmen, I
have
want
they
you to
been
go
the
to
Rose-
Ann Arbor,
Have
Michigan,
they been to the
and
Rose Bowl?
find out what.
Have you seen Howard
Go
or
to
anybody at the
Cincinnati,
Rose Bowl?
Ohio, right across the river from Kentucky.
Oh no. Don't talk about Ann Arbor.
do a
No.
poll
do
there.
not talk about
Ann Arbor is the
Or
bomb.
Just
Let me tell you.
amazed at there's such solidarity here. The
you went to
white
UVA.
man
Can
water
I-
is
can
colder.
I- hold on.
I
You-
don't- the
wait,
school
wait,
No, this
books
was
are
my-
better.
this was- no,
I
this
mean,
was
we
my-
right. I'm sorry.
You-
This was my
I don't
thing.
know.
This was my thing.
He's trying to chop
And
this up.
when
UVA
my
versus
boyfriend,
Virginia
A lot of PWI love in here.
my
boy.
boyfriend went to
You actually
Morehouse.
should say you went to Virginia State.
I went to UVA. I
You
love
should
it.
say Virginia State.
I mean,
Just
I'm
say
on
Virginia
plaques at
State.
Same
UVA.
school.
You know,
Why do
it's
you
historic.
yeah. But my boyfriend went to Morehouse. I went to Michigan. We had a lot of debate about it.
You talking about the Alpha?
And no.
Okay, I'm just wondering. Okay.
But
Look, this boyfriend is a millionaire now, okay?
but we're gonna-
Anyway, but I said I wanted to go someplace where I could compete in the real world, the way the real world
Yeah, that's
is.
true.
And
That is
he
true.
said, I want to go where, because when they look for the top talent, they're going to go to a black school and look for that school. I actually don't think either he did well, I did
yeah.
well.
Mm-hmm.
But I still would pick, the University of Michigan.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah.
Can I do that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, wait,
Oh,
wait,
yeah.
wait, wait.
Come on in here, girl.
Carmen.
Drop some millennial knowledge.
Yeah,
up
yeah,
in
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Woo!
There is a poll question.
I'm gonna
Sorry, I got a little bit clip with
Right.
my U of M
Now,
there.
the poll question was about the car, right?
Yes.
We come back to the first car thing. We know what Slugger thinks about having a car because he had a foreign job.
I think you should get it in. You shouldn't have it in your freshman year. But go ahead.
I think if your parents tell you that they only paying for tuition, then you know what my answer is. Okay?
I think a college is not just for school, it's for learning about life. And you
Yes.
don't need a car, you need to learn how to ride the bus and be resourceful
I
without
was
your parents
resourceful.
there.
I
I was
agree.
resourceful.
Without your parents
I
there
agree.
and without a car.
Right.
And that is truly
helped out.
what
Ulysses,
college is
what
about.
was the name of the young lady that bought gas for your car?
But we
I'm
do-
sorry,
a
never
poll
mind. What did I
question.
say?
Poll question.
That's too much
sorry.
information. That's TMI. That's
Talk
TMI.
about the team.
That's
What kind of crew?
TMI.
What kind of crew
Look,
help
look,
did
I'm
you
gonna
have?
take
then?
over. Carmen,
Well, guys.
is there a poll
So
question?
we asked the people, and the people had something to say.
Yes.
Okay. Should your kids have cars at college? 60% said yes, of course.
Really?
40% said
I'm gonna tell you what,
in
man. We're gonna have to get
college,
some more demographics,
no.
okay? We got
Oh,
some.
Said in
my
college,
We
no.
got some
They said in
damn Gen
college,
Z
no.
people on this poll. I don't know,
No.
man.
So
no,
this
those are some
is
teenagers answering
this
that.
is what happens when you guys go to
This is
school in
teenagers.
places that are metropolitan and not in places where like
All these
Marshall,
poll
Texas.
questions are in line with
No,
Ulysses'
I'm
family
saying-
values. I don't know.
I'm saying, I'm sure if your child went to a school in Marshall, Texas, you would want them to have a car.
No.
No,
Absolutely not.
Where
I'd
the
go what
KKK
city's at.
rides, you don't want your
No.
child to have a car with a
you gotta,
KKK
you
ride?
gotta be a part of the culture. You need
First
to
of all,
adapt.
you need to know how to run.
You gotta need to deal with
First
that.
of all,
You want them to run from burning crosses?
I want them to.
First of all-
I want them
And
to
this is what's
smell
wrong with
something
Generation
burning
X.
and
First
go
of
the other
all-
way.
First of all, there's two types of Klan. The Klan started in Indianapolis in the north.
Yeah, that's right. Indiana
In
is where
Indiana.
the capital of the KKK
is
in 1920 was Indiana.
They
But
don't
they
care
were
nothing
closely
about
in
that.
Michigan as well.
Yeah,
They were.
Indiana, Ohio.
Them white people don't care nothing about
So
that.
so we agree that your whole region is a bit shaky on it's sketchy from its past.
No, I just said there are
no?
KKK and racists in every state.
They
I'm just
really are.
saying
They really
the
are.
Grand
But-
Poobah
They
lived
really
in
are.
Howell, Michigan, and that's why when we
Right.
were kids, we were taught don't stop for gas in Howell, Michigan.
Don't stop
And
for
I
gas.
actually know someone
Green Book.
who actually grew up next to the Grand Poobah.
Can I just say this? None of y'all was stopping for gas because you didn't have cars, and you won't let your kids have cars.
There you go.
Right, and I did, but I did
I
have
will tell you-
$3 for gas money on that
I'll say
700-mile
this.
road trip.
For college, I don't think your freshman year you don't need a car. You need to learn campus. You need to learn. I think as you get older, like so, realize my junior year I worked. So I worked at Camelot Records at the record store.
Right.
That's not around at all. So I worked.
R.I.P.
So you had a car then. If you live on campus, I mean, and the other thing is, most parties were on campus. It's not like now where college parties are at a club. You party.
Oh, it's not even there, bro.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
at houses now.
I'm gonna tell you what,
Yeah,
know,
you will have kickbacks.
college,
Yeah.
I will definitely say that, when I think about college, I can say this at the end of the day, I believe we were in college at the best time ever. And I know
Freak
I might be
Lake,
biased,
Virginia
but
Beach.
when must see TV
Doing the
Thursday
Bud,
night
Doing the
with the
Bud.
Cosby Show, A Different World,
Prince.
everything
Prince.
together, Prince.
Purple
Right.
Rain.
Purple Rain. I mean, it was so much great stuff that was
Before R.
going
Kelly
on.
was a weirdo.
Yeah.
He was always a weirdo,
Yeah.
bro. What?
And there were things-
He came out the womb weird. Like,
And there was substantive
he-
things going on too, like
he was a
apartheid that
he
was
was a
going on
public
there,
announcement.
etc. Like
Oh,
we
yeah,
had
Rodney
serious
King.
issues.
We had
Rodney King.
Rodney
There
King.
were real issues that were causing you to really have to look at where you stand, and you couldn't just be behind your computer on social media or sitting there looking at your phone. You had to be out there in the street and doing it. But
Well, we also didn't have social media or phones.
right,
So,
you had to engage. You had
But
to engage.
here's what I feel about college. Did you pay for your car or your insurance while you were in college?
My parents paid for it.
Case if you can't pay for your car or the insurance,
You shouldn't have one.
have a
I
car.
know my parents.
I told you about my Burger King. That's how I got to make a Whopper in 13 seconds. Insurance for the car.
I was
Making me have a flashback of a negative
oh, really?
experience.
I'm like, oh, really?
Insurance, I couldn't go
I'm
nowhere.
gonna end on this
Please
for
take us home, Carmen.
everyone out there.
Since you the closest one to college.
I went to both PWIs and HBCUs, and I will
Okay.
say this. Black people who graduate from HBCUs stay married to their spouses 95% of the time than anybody else. Black people from HBCUs get high-paid jobs faster than anyone else. HBCUs have produced the most black lawyers and the most black dentists and
Yeah,
doctors.
That's probably true. Yeah. That's
Secondly, lastly, every single black person that has ever existed has gone to an HBCU. So if you're gay, they're there. If you're Nigerian, they're there. Jamaican, Trinidadian, they're there. You're from California, have never seen black people a day in your life. There's a black person for you. I met Yolanda Adams' daughter at Howard University. Sweetheart.
true. You know, Macy Gray went to UC.
They're just some nice kids. Whoever crew that you're looking for, there is not an outside crowd. That is a place to go, and you are seen. So go be seen, child.
Carmen, I gotta say
Go
this.
be seen.
You know what I have to say based on that data that you just laid out? Thank you everyone for watching the 811 crew.
Thank you for that.
We have enjoyed
I
this
feel
segment
like
and talking to you. I feel like Carmen, you just brought that thing on home. Either way, just go to school, y'all. Learn something.
UC.
11 crew, we are back.
We're at Ohio State right now.
Right.
And we are wrapping up this. We're wrapping up this episode about HBCUs, PWIs, college life. What school would you do? And as we said, as long as you do some type of education, whether it be a 4-year school, 2-year school, vocational school, at this point, just get something that you can rely on as you get older.
Absolutely.
Because you're not always going to be 20, so you're not always going to be able to work at that construction site all the time.
And guess what? Also, y'all, if I can just piggyback on that too, college is also about building your network. And if anything that we know is that college is it's a lot of what you know, but it's damn sure still about who you know.
Yeah.
And you develop your primary network of people that are going to be rocking with you the rest of your life. You develop that in college.
You do.
And so the network is truly critical. But I got to give a shout out to Carmen for breaking down the way you ran that. You ran the HBCU facts down. All we could do is be like, okay. Now, but
our next question of the day, which will be for next week, is: do you make your kids do chores?
Right. We're going to stay on this. We're going to get in your business now. We know that I could floss more and maybe take a shower. But now we're going to get into what's going on behind your house.
Yes. We need to know, do you all make your kids do chores?
Chores.
And
We're not
also,
talking about turn the light off in the bathroom.
We mean
I'm talking
cut
about
the grass.
chores.
We mean clean
I'm
the
talking about
blinds.
can your child start that lawnmower?
Right. Can he blow leaves?
Blow leaves, right? Something shovel grass. No, we're not shoveling grass, okay?
That's not a snowblower.
See, okay, right. We're talking about real work, stuff, sweat, stuff that you don't want to do.
That's with Blake.
Yeah, so that's one.
Shoveling leaves.
So we want to know. We want to know. 811 crew. We're going to talk about. We want to know. Do you make your kids? You got a 16-year-old at home. Do you make your kids do real chores? And if so, what are they? Talk to us about that. We want to know what's going on in the crib with people working.
All right. And thank you for tuning in once again. It was a choice you had. We're glad you chose us, the 811 crew, Jason Turner, Ulysses Slugger Glenn. We're out. Thank you.
Go Blue.
Let's go, pick your feet up though. Let's go, pick your feet up though.